Your executive order is actually a fascinating read. You cite the Goldman Sachs report that we've been talking about for a couple of weeks about the efficacy of masks. Was this a big political lift?
Yeah, I mean, look, before we even have to talk about, or any state has to talk about closing down certain kinds of businesses or, preventing people from dining in restaurants, it seems like the mask wearing is a simple step to take. We hope it's enough, right? To be clear, the mask wearing alone without behavioral changes isn't enough, but mask wearing with additional attentiveness to people staying 6 feet apart and having less socialization, we really hope that that's enough to avoid further economic devastation and save lives.
Do you expect enforcement to be difficult?
We had about 60% of our state under a mask order before I went statewide with the other 40%. And we found something really interesting. The mere fact of having that mask order increased mask utilization by 15 to 18% in the areas of the state that had it. And that's for several weeks. It's not because of enforcement. None of them are issuing more than maybe a ticket or two, out of 100,000. But what it is it's just the moral clarity and the fact that many Coloradans and many Americans just want to follow the law, and recognizing that mask wearing is a law. I expect it'll increase mask wearing by 15 to 18% statewide.
Huh. Wow. Why do you think the debate is so tortured in certain states? I'd love for you to comment on what's happening in Georgia, but even in states like Alabama, which did implement a mandate, the governor emphasized that she didn't want to rely on enforcement and hoped it's more of an encouragement. But why are we seeing the resistance to it? Do you think it's backed up by anything in science?
Well, no, clearly there's, fake pseudoscience. We all see it on our Facebook. It's really terrible to see people spreading lies about masks. I mean, that they're, nurses, medical professionals, they wear masks every day for their whole careers. There's obviously no detrimental health impact from wearing a mask. The opposite. It actually protects others from you. It also protects your own level of protection. Recent studies show it reduces your own risk of contracting the coronavirus by as much as 2/3 when you properly wear a mask that covers your nose and mouth. So the data is clear. Masks are actually more important than health experts thought 3 months ago in a successful strategy to combat coronavirus in America.
Governor, it's David Faber. Do you think we're going to be successful in combating coronavirus in America? We certainly don't seem to have been of late. Your state is not at its case highs, we should point out, which were hit sort of in the late April time period. But as you well know, many of our largest states are facing their highest cases more or less every single day.
Well, America is failing. Looking at the global response, we are one of, if not the worst anywhere in the world, really inexcusable for a wealthy industrialized nation. We still suffer from the lack of a coordinated national response. What's very hard for governors, and I think they're all doing their best, Republican and Democrat, is that we don't control our borders. Hundreds of thousands of people come into and out of Colorado. Over July 4th weekend, we had between 50 and 100,000 tourists and visitors from Texas, Arizona, and California. Now, good for our economy, but bad for our epidemiology and bad for the spread of the virus. That's why we need to show precaution, but we also truly need a national approach around testing and tracing, because people move between boundaries and states can only do so much.
Yeah, you mentioned your economy, of course, and tourism. I'm curious, what are things looking like in the state of Colorado at this point? We know many states are suffering significant budget deficits as a result, of course, of the virus. How's it looking in Colorado? And do you want to see significant aid coming from the federal government for states?
Well, of course, there's pain all around. It's appropriate the public sector share that pain and tighten their belts, just as many businesses are, just as many families are. I was glad to see our unemployment, while unacceptable at 10.5%, was about 3% less, or 2.5% less than the national average. Look, we're all in this together as a country, economically and from a health perspective. My job in Colorado, I want to be a positive outlier. I want to have a little less disease incidence and a little less unemployment than the rest of the country. But no state lives in a bubble. And maybe Hawaii can, as an island, has a little bit more. But the other 49 states really don't live in a bubble. And we live and die together, literally live and die together. And while Colorado can and is doing a little bit better than other parts of the country, we can't be in a different dimension altogether. It's not possible.